And I'm also delighted and honored that each one of you would rather be here at this historic moment in Singaporean literature rather than watching really, really wealthy people who do not have jobs or pay taxes wear ludicrous things that they call hats and go to a royal wedding. So thank you so much for coming. If you want just one live cut to the wedding, here we go. Okay, corgis, diamonds, gin. All right, so as I say, I am delighted to be here. And LaSalle College of the Arts, this beautiful campus, this glass art college, is a great place to bring up the architect and designer Mies van der Rohe's wonderful line, less is more. And I say that because A, we're in a glass art college, but B, the two best definitions of education I know take all of 3 words between the two of them. So the contemporary Scottish novelist Andrew O'Hagan, he describes education as managed revelation. Managed revelation. And then I think an even more succinct definition of education is the single word change. And these wonderful students in our first cohort of the first MA in creative writing here in Singapore, they have been through so many changes. I'm going to remind them for one last time, Eudora Welty's great line that if you haven't surprised yourself, you haven't written. And these students have been through many, many surprises. One thing we do in this MA in creative writing is we require, /invite, /challenge the students to work in all the 4 major genres. So they write poetry, fiction, nonfiction, and drama for stage and screen before specializing in the genre of their choice for a thesis project. You're going to hear some thesis projects tonight in fiction, drama for stage, drama for screen, but also change is, of course, the defining feature of a story. If there's no change, there's no story, and these students have been through some beautiful changes. So before I begin, I'd like to invite you please to join me in giving our first graduating cohort of 6 students a big round of welcoming applause. All right, you came here to hear them, not me, so I will delightedly introduce our first writer, Jayashri Penekar, Jay. And one of the things it's hard to keep track of when you're writing sentences, then paragraphs, then pages, then new drafts, then old drafts is, you know, a lot of us, we find a title as we go. Finding titles, titles are an interesting intersection of the found and the made. And so you don't always know the title of a project. You know, lots of film companies are called working title films, et cetera, et cetera. And yet, one of the fun little secrets of writing is that you wind up having nicknames for your projects. You know, the actual title of your story might be something very profound, but you have a little private nickname whereby you think of that story. And so our first reader tonight, Jay, has a great little nickname for her story, and you'll be able to guess the nickname, I think, when you hear this story tonight. So Jay is Singaporean. She's returned here and is able to do this master's degree after leaving Singapore for an undergraduate degree in creative writing at the Queensland Institute of Technology. Jay is published in Tabula and the Women's Australian Weekly. And she was also, along with her cohort tonight, one of the festival authors at the 2017 Georgetown Literary Festival. Please join me in welcoming Jay.
So here goes. I hope you'll enjoy the story excerpt that I plan to read today. You are an unintentional eavesdropper at your grandparents' 50th wedding anniversary in Penang during a weekend in November. You're winding through the circles of people that formed across the tastefully decorated lounge of Bay Shore Hotel. Everyone is dressed to the nines in their ethnic finery. Finally, an opportunity to air your own traditional wear. A silk sari in dusky hues that sways as you walk. Keep an eye out for familiar faces among the bevies of gossipy aunts, irreverent uncles, and gawky cousins. Saunter with one foot in front of the other. Catch snippets of conversation that rise like champagne bubbles all around in the heady atmosphere. By a capricious circumstance, stand within earshot of a group of drinking uncles, huddled at a bar table, gossiping like fishwives. "Gentlemen, be good now, keep it PG." Hear that unrecognizable voice with a heavy Indian lilt. "Well, we are here to celebrate love, aren't we? No hope of today's youth staying married this long. Or being married. See now that Prema, some entry-level marketing job, still single and 30? What kind of life?" The word 30 is spoken with a fearful emphasis that feels like a kick to your gut. Please, that one, the poor fella will lose himself in that Indian Ocean butt of hers. A fit of raucous laughter engulfs you. As you walk on from that spot, tell yourself it's nothing you've never heard before. Hasn't your own mother said worse? "Prema Menon, it's like I've picked you up from somewhere," she repeats from teenage years to date. You take after your father. His wide girth, his double chin. "Fat people are happy people," he says fondly. Both of you sneak chocolates before bed and gorge on dim sum to your mother's derision. Nevertheless, you are riled up enough to find yourself breathlessly contorting your body into various animal stances on a bi-weekly basis at a yoga studio close to where you work as a junior marketing executive. In the first few weeks, you're sore. It doesn't do anything to the presumed proportions of your rump. Nevertheless, you persist. Somehow, through the sun salutation ritual, you manage to lock eyes with an Indian Adonis who has chiseled features and skin that reminds you of caramel. Both of you steady yourselves into the plank pose as the instructor shouts overhead, "Hold, hold for 10, 9. You both give each other awkward, breathless smiles in the wall-length mirror in the front of the class. This happens often enough that when you do encounter each other at the lounge, a few weeks later, you both smile warmly, ready to get back to your workplaces. "Hi," he says. "Hi," you reply. He opens the glass doors for you. You thank him. Hear his voice rising behind your back. "Another great session, as always." Compliment him on his cufflinks, a pair of gold Chinese endless knots, a symbol of everlasting love. They catch the light against his white shirt. You both head to the nearest Starbucks. "You too need coffee?" he asks. "Always," you reply. "I know, right? Give me an IV dripped filled with espresso," he says. You share how you too have that exact thought. At the cashier, he says, "Allow me. What do you usually have?" You protest, but he insists smoothly. "It's my pleasure." You both walk out with lattes, chatting as if you're old friends. This is how it begins. You're falling for Raj over Pinot Grigios and tiramisus at Valentino's on Turf City. Thank you.
I'm delighted to introduce our next reader, Mia Aureus. And like so many of the writers tonight, their stories involve transnational people, people who live and study and work in a series of countries. And so Mia Aureus might not know that I met the German woman who has taught creative writing for the British Open University in Ireland and currently lives in Colorado after a long stint in Singapore. I met the woman who supervised Mia's thesis, fittingly, at a book launch. And Marion Kleinschmidt, the thesis supervisor, knows Mia through professional connections. And she said of Mia something that I think John Irving would approve. So in John Irving's one great novel, The World According to Garp, he argues that a novelist is someone who doesn't quit. And I met Marion Kleinschmidt at this book launch, and she said of Mia, Mia will get the job done. And Mia has got several jobs done in her career as a journalist. Mia holds a BA in journalism from a university in the Philippines where she won an award for the best undergraduate thesis. Mia has published one of her nonfiction essays from the program in the journal Wanderlust, and she's here tonight to read from her wonderful collection of short stories. Please join me in welcoming Mia Orias.
Carpe diem, Ben hollered and pumped his fist in the air. He nudged Julie to imitate him, but she refused. Come on, Jules. Why? You think people will laugh at you? Who cares? Look at that guy over there. Does he care if you think he's crazy? Banging his head like that. He pointed at a guy in a black t-shirt that said, "My girlfriend is Wonder Woman," banging his head at the back of the crowd, hitting the person in front of him with his hair. It's not that hard. Ben took Julie's limp wrist and taught her how to pound with more vigor, like she was hammering a nail on hard wood. But Julie felt more like she was erasing the alphabet on a whiteboard. I'm hungry. Can we find something to eat? Julie said. Okay, me too. Let's go. I'm craving satay. Julie wrapped her fingers tight around the straps of her knapsack and plunged back into the crowd. She trailed behind her tall friend, who seemed to have no trouble navigating his way past people while checking the food and merchandise peddled on the sidewalk. Oh, look, coconuts! Ben ran to a man with a cart brimming with a tropical fruit. By the side of the road, 2 coconuts for $3. Julie took out her coin purse and counted the dimes. She looked forward to a refreshing cold drink after getting squashed by sweaty people. The middle-aged Chinese vendor was giving change to 2 loud guys, giving each other fist bumps. Geez, so much excitement over coconuts, Julie thought. Ben tapped her on the shoulder and handed her a hairy brown fruit. Then he hurled one at the wall covered with white tarpaulin. What are you doing? Throw that on the wall, Ben said, grinning. Julie stood perplexed. She wanted to drink, not throw coconuts. Go on, it will make you feel good. Why are we doing this? Gets the frustration and anger out of you. You're always so tense. Anything you're mad about, think about it and throw. She looked at the coconut and the juice she wanted to sip out of it. But then her mind wandered to the call she had had with her ma in the morning. She stepped back and threw the coconut. It barely touched the wall and rolled on the floor. You have to throw harder. Like this. Ben picked up the fruit and rolled his shoulder. Ben? Is that you stud muffin? A woman in a peach floral dress went up to Julie's friend and pecked him on both cheeks. She tucked her honey yellow hair behind her ear and flicked it away from her freckled sun-kissed shoulder. She carried a heart-shaped balloon. Heather? What are you doing here? Ben puffed up his chest and rested his left hand on his hip. Julie rolled her eyes. Stud muffin? When had her friend become a stud muffin? Sure, he had lost some weight and his shirt sleeve showed some bulges of toned muscles. But the stubble on his face made him look like a nomad. Or maybe a rugged adventurer. Julie could not decide. Oh, my company relocated me here. Just moved a couple of months ago. Been checking out a local scene since. You? Heather flipped her hair. I'm just here visiting for a week. We should catch up. Yeah, sure. Maybe tomorrow. I'm leaving on Monday. What's your number? Ben handed Julie the coconut and took out his phone from his pocket. Heather typed her number into his mobile, catching glances from Ben and smiling. Julia looked away and stared at the wall, dripping with coconut juice. Then she swung her arm back like a catapult and threw the coconut she was holding. Easy, lady, the vendor said, as little pieces of the shell hit him hard on the nose and mouth. Oh, sorry. Julie had done it. She smashed the coconut to smithereens. Yes, that felt awesome. She looked at Ben, who did not see it. He was still busy talking to Heather. So, let me know whenever you're back in London, okay? He said. Yeah, I will phone you. Heather rejoined her girlfriends. Her hair swayed in rhythm with her hips, which were curved as perfectly as Keith's crescent urn. Who was that? Julie asked. Oh, that was Heather. We went to university together. Sorry I forgot to introduce you. It's okay. I was busy smashing coconuts. A heart balloon floated past them. You want one of those? Ben turned around looking for the stall selling the balloons. What am I going to do with that? I'll just pop it on your head. Wow, someone's mad. I think this coconut slapping brought out too much anger. Let's go. I'm not mad. I'm hungry. Oh, right. Sorry. Mental note, don't let Jules starve. She turns into a monster. Julie punched Ben in the biceps. Ow, she said. You really need to work on your throw and punch, Jules. They bought chicken satay and falafels from an Indian lady with a high, exquisite nose. Then they made their way to 7-Eleven to get drinks. The store smelled like a pub. A long line of guys buying liquor from the 10:30 curfew avoided a broken bottle of tiger beer on the floor. Julie crinkled her nose and asked Ben to get her a bottle of mineral water while she waited outside. He gave her a thumbs up. Outside, the rock band Demons continued to scream their lungs out about someone who lost a monkey wrench in a desert storm. Next to the stage, a group had cordoned off a small square section. A silver pole stood at the center, and a lady in a black bikini was spinning around with her legs splayed in midair as she slithered down, much to the crowd's awe and amusement. 5 more girls in black bikinis queued to have a go at pole dancing. Julie looked at the band jumping on stage, and to the spinning pole dancer, and then to the people walking past with heart balloons floating above their heads. She wondered if someone would bring out lions in blazing rings just to complete the circus. Jules, Ben called out, handing her a mineral water. Thanks. They walked past Taratata Bistro, one door down from 7-Eleven, and Ben peeped inside. An Indian waiter looking grim, balancing a tray of wine and champagne glasses in one hand. Hey, Jules, can you flirt with that waiter and get us some ice? No! Come on, I dare you. Are you insane? I bet if you were hot pants, you'd give us a bucket. Julie shot him a dagger look. I'm teasing. You're pretty, Jules, if you just stop dressing like Nanny McPhee. By the way, seeing anyone? Julie turned around. She should have insisted on meeting at Starbucks, where everything was normal and quiet. The tin pencil case rattling in her bag reminded her of the lesson plan she still had to finish. What? Ben chased Julie down the road. I was just asking. I'm not seeing anyone. See? What's so bad about saying that? You're so infuriating. Okay, no more dating questions. Ben and Julie found a less crowded space at the intersection of Kyungsik and Jack Chuan roads. Ben sat on a curb in front of a shop with lime green door grills. A mesh of tiny blue and green light bulbs hung over the street, and the lights flickered every few minutes. Across from them, a woman composing haikus on scrolls of art paper kept looking up at the crescent moon above the wires. She would raise her pen up as if she was plucking words from the sky. Lovers flocked around her stall, cooing over her poems and paying $2 for pieces of parchment paper. Julie stood and watched her while spraying her hands with sanitizer. A bit of dirt won't kill you, you know, Ben said, taking the sauté sticks out of the plastic bag and tearing the barbecued meat off them. This is good. I miss this. He looked at Julie, who had started eating her falafel, and gestured for her to sit next to him. Julie thought of the germs on the sidewalk and started to lay down squares of tissue. You don't need those. Ben snatched every tissue she took out. Just sit, like at the playground. Thank you.
She's worked in the Mentor Access program. She's been involved with a memoir project, reading her nonfiction in the Arts House. And now, to my great pleasure, she's been publishing her stories from the MA. So she just very recently had a story called The Uber Driver, one of her thesis stories, accepted to Business Mirror. So please join me in welcoming Vicky Chong.
Each cohort in the University of Madras medical faculty is small, and she has no trouble locating a photo of young Raj Kumar from 20 years ago. She stares at the photo for a long time, an unfamiliar face belonging to a familiar man. He's indeed handsome, with deep eyes fringed with long lashes, a toothy white green, and a dimple on his chin. Maya opens another page and puts in his full name on Google, and a whole list of Raj Kumars appears. She types in the university and the year he graduated, and the list shortens to a handful of names. She can't be sure who the right one is. Does she really want to locate him? What if he's bald and fat? But curiosity wins, and she opens a Facebook account of the same name. An older, more distinguished version of Raj Kumar appears with streaks of gray on both sides of his temples and impish wrinkles around his eyes. His page is set to private, and except for a few photos, there are no details about him. Still, she's sure she got the right rush. Her heart beats excitedly. Her cursor hovers at the message icon. What's the point, she thinks. She clicks the cross at the top to close the page, but a video appears instead, and he's online with her. In a panic, she tries to close the video.
Hello?
He says. She looks up and their eyes met. And their eyes meet, and she's transported back to the first time their eyes met at a bus stop back in India.
It's you.
He says. She's speechless. Her gaze drawn to his, and all she can do is stare at him, tearing. He's here, looking at her with the kind eyes she has missed, the smile she has yearned for. She likes his voice, a mellow tone with a tinge of an American twang.
Hello, Maya.
He says again. Hi, she whispers after clearing her throat.
I'm glad to finally make your acquaintance. It must be 20 years.
She nods.
I could recognize you anywhere.
I'm old. He smiles.
Just as beautiful.
Are you in Chennai?
Texas, you?
Singapore, she says, and adds quickly, I'm married with a son, a teenager. He nods.
Good. You look happy. I've always wondered what happened to you. You disappeared one day. I was worried. But I'm glad it's a good thing.
Her tears start falling, and she wipes them with the back of her hand, hoping he doesn't notice. Isn't it at night now in Texas? Her voice is hoarse.
It's almost midnight.
Are you a doctor now? He tells her he moved to Texas on a scholarship and is a heart surgeon who also lectures at the University of Texas. His mother and younger sister moved over with him. His sister is now married to an American man. I didn't know you have a sister.
She's 8 years younger. She's now a mother of 2 rascals. My mother helps to take care of them.
And your father?
He's died of heart attack just before I graduated.
Oh, that's so sad. He didn't attend your convocation. He would have been so proud of you. A phone rings and he picks up, nods and mumbles.
Maya, I have an emergency.
Sure, go. His screen disappears. Bye, she finally says. Maya can't believe she has just spoken to Raj after all these years. He sounded pleased too, at least initially, until she was abruptly cut off. Look, he's a doctor. Don't be too sensitive, she tells herself. So every morning for the next 6 weeks, once Anil and Jasper are out of the house, she turns on the video, hoping to catch Raj online. It's as if he's expecting her. They usually chat for about 20 minutes, updating on the weather, news from Chennai, politics, entertainment, but always steering clear of personal topics. I can't believe we are connected again, thanks to technology, although we have never spoken during our youth. I feel like I'm talking to an old friend now.
Connected? Were we ever?
He asks. She blushes. We met every morning before school?
And after school? Sorry, I can't help teasing you.
He laughs. She laughs too. You're naughty. She hears a female voice calling from behind him, which she turns to reply before facing her again. Are you married? He smiles.
Yes.
He says, and her heart drops.
I'm married to my job.
He says, and she laughs, a laughter which comes from pure joy.
That's my mother. She visits me once a month.
He tells her that his mother still harbors hope that he will find himself a nice American woman to settle down to. Maya tells him how she married Anil, moved to Harvard, and then to Singapore.
To think we were on the same soil once. I went to Harvard during the summer of 2005.
I was there. Her voice rises excitedly.
We would have walked past each other.
Oh, I could have been behind you. They continue to stare at each other. His hand suddenly sweeps into his hair, and she finds herself wanting to reach out to grasp it. He sees her movement.
Look, it's too late.
Too late for us, she thinks. She nods. I understand.
I'm going to turn off the chat now.
She sits motionless.
Maya?
Mamila Pinata Pie, she whispers.
Huh?
Do you know what that word means? Mamila pinata pie?
Tell me.
It's a look shared by two people, each wishing that the other would initiate something.
I'm sorry.
So am I, she says, looking down to hide her grief. Are you really sorry? You could do something now, would you?
I couldn't ruin your happy life,
It could have been us.
but it's not.
Why haven't you got married then? Were you waiting for me?
I was too busy, and gradually I decided I like being single.
You're lying, she thinks. Just as well then.
Are you angry?
Why should I be? It's late for you. Good night. Thank you.
And now I'm delighted to introduce Salim Hadi, a man who must never sleep. Salim holds a BA in graphic design from RMIT. He's been making theater and films for nearly 20 years. He has made 16 short films, one of which won an award at Cannes, the Cannes Film Festival. He has also won nominations and awards with ASEAN film festivals. Just this March, his short film, The Anklet, was selected to a curated show in New York, a winter film festival in New York. His work has also been screened here in the All In Literary Festival organized by the National Book Council of Singapore. Salim has published a book of Tamil poems, and one of the stories he wrote here in the MA won the $10,000 National Arts Council Golden Point Short Story Award in English. Please join me in welcoming Salim Hadi.
Aisha, Zahir's girlfriend in her late 20s, is sitting and discussing house expenses and a valuation plan. Below a void deck in one of the concrete seats with a real estate agent, Mr. Peter, in his early 30s. Zahir arrives at the void deck and sees Aisha talking to the agent. Aisha sees Zahir coming from a cab from a distance and walking towards her.
That was fast.
Class ended early. Didn't know you were with your friend. Hi, Zahir. Zahir extends his hand to the agent. The agent shakes Zahir's hand. Aisha is smiling at both of them.
Peter, ERA house agent.
Peter extends his arm to give his name card to Zahir. Zahir, upon receiving Peter's name card, exchanges his company card.
I have to say, you are very lucky to get a unit beside your parents' flat.
Zahir looks at Aisha and back at the agent.
I showed the space to Aisha last week. She wanted you to see it with her again. Looks like she has fallen in love with the unit.
It's true we are looking for a unit, but I was not looking for it anywhere near my existing place. Didn't I tell you that?
Yes, dear, but my company headquarters is shifting to around here in 5 months. So, thought it would be convenient for us, for both of us, if we get her.
Zahir looks at Peter. Peter, I think there's a serious miscommunication between me and Aisha. We would have to meet you some other day. I'm sorry for wasting your time.
Zahir, try to understand. It's very hard to get a unit near your parents, and it's a resale flat, way cheaper than a BTO units. I think we should get this property first. Later, say in 3 to 4 years' time, we could rent it and move to a condo or something.
I think that's a great idea. But I'm curious, Zahir. The government is giving more incentives than before for getting a unit beside your parents. You can take care of both of them too. I mean, who wouldn't want to buy a property near their parents' house?
I wouldn't. So, thank you, Peter. We will catch up. Take care.
It's okay. Maybe you must be tired. Perhaps I can arrange for another viewing?
Not necessary, Peter. You can look for other prospects for the property. I am not interested.
Zahir, you want to go up and see the unit first? You might like it. It's very nice. The rooms are bigger than the ones we saw at...
Aisha, can you stop it? I am not interested. Which part of that do you not understand? The agent packs his stuffs and leaves. This is scene 1. I'm going to be just reading the second scene. This scene takes place in a drama workshop where Zahir actually meets his love interest, which is played by Vicky right now, who is going to be playing the role of Smeha. And Sam is going to be playing the role of Damien, which is the workshop instructor. So this is a workshop that they are having on emotions. So this is how it goes. Damien, the drama workshop instructor, along with other workshop participants, including Zahir and Smeha, stand in a circle, perspiring and panting.
Okay, emotions are very powerful. And as actors or drama educators, we need to be comfortable with our emotions. We need to let our students know, our audience know, that it's perfect to express one's emotions. That's what ultimately makes us human. If you are happy, you laugh. Sometimes you can even tear up when you laugh so much, right? There is no one fixed projection of an emotion. And I want each and every one of you to understand that and
Observe.
the emotion we all welcome into our lives for everything and anything nowadays is
Anger.
okay. Think of anything that makes you angry and project your anger in the most exaggerated manner. If you have nothing to think that makes you mad, think of me and how I tortured you in the morning during your physical exercise and go, I am angry.
I am angry.
Whoa. Now that's lots of anger. We have a lot of walking time bombs in the room today. I can see so much anger. Now, please, don't sit on the fence. Be bold and take a stand. How many of you think anger is actually good?
Most of the participants put up their hands except Zahir and Smeha.
Well, I feel anger is the foundation of any revolution. If it was not for the anger of the people, bad governance would never be replaced. So anger can bring about good things. I think it's really okay to be angry over something and express it from time to time.
Thank you, Sneha. Now, would anyone like to share how you expressed your anger? Now, come on, we are all adults here. Whatever is being shared here stays within these four walls. And I truly hope you guys will respect that for your fellow participants. So, anyone?
Well, I use vulgarities at times. In other languages, actually. In all languages, actually. Even this morning, I saw human poop on the stairs.
What? Who does that?
Tell me about it. I was like, who the hell shits in the staircase? So yeah.
Well, these are words we express in anger. But how have you displayed your anger beyond words? I am referring to actions. Would you like to share any such moment? Only if you're comfortable.
Well, when I was young, I think I was about 15 years old. I was in secondary 3. I wanted to poison my elder sister and mother with rat poison. I even bought the bottle. I think it was about $2.50. But didn't do anything to them. They're still alive now, you know. All the participants' faces appear shocked. Thank you.
Thank you.
Olivier was one of our 2 Europeans who read. Olivier Castagnette was born in 1973 in Metz, France. And he has been here in Singapore for about 17 years. And speaking of changes in life and art, Olivier gave up his career working for multinationals to write full-time, an investment which has paid off. Olivier has published his creative nonfiction, at least 2 essays in the journal Wanderlust. He has fiction forthcoming in the Crab Orchard Review. He has poetry appearing recently in Business Mirror. And speaking of the first, Olivier published his first novel last October, his first novel en français, Radical, avec Édition Gaupe. So please join me in welcoming the prolific Olivier Castagnette.
So holding a watering can, Sung Kong stands still outside his HDB flat. The door to Siti's flat is ajar and the audience, but not Sung Kong, can see Siti's face. Laurent steps to the front of the stage and faces the audience with a worried look. Just thinking about this play gives me anxiety attacks. And now I have to pop pills again at night just to stay asleep. Imagine, the parents said I'm a racist and presenting Singaporeans in a very bad light in my play. But come on, it was just a rehearsal, and they were not even supposed to be here in the first place. Anyway, let's hear them out. I'll see how I can revise that controversial first scene. Hopefully I can clear my name and reconquer my Sherifica. Laurent steps to the back of the stage where he can be seen by the audience, but not by Sung Kong or Siti. And during the rest of the scene, he looks on as Siti and Sung Kong act on stage. The door to Siti's flat opens completely, revealing Siti as she crosses the doorstep with a watering can in her left hand. Before Sung Kong sees her, Siti readjusts the brooch on her veil and smooths her dress.
Hi, Siti.
Hi, Sung Kong.
Take it, no, go ahead. You want me to read it? Yeah. Okay. Isn't that your new begonia from Sumatra?
Very beautiful, right?
Yes, but don't water it too much. It's a very fragile plant, you know.
And what will happen, Mr. Green Thumb, if I shower my begonia with too much attention?
It will get more thirsty and absorb more water like a sponge. And every day it will ask for more.
And then, if I don't give more water?
Your begonia will go bad in a few days, especially in this heat wave.
Just like men. When you're too kind to them, they take you for granted and one day they become rotten.
Not all men are like your ex-husband.
Maybe. Is it water inside this can?
What else could it be?
Heavy duty fertilizer?
I never use artificial fertilizer, you know that?
By the way you carried this can, it's like, it's weighing 1 ton.
If it was just 1 ton, I am so tired this morning.
Are you sick or something?
I hope not. I couldn't sleep a wink last night.
What happened?
You know this British guy who moved downstairs? The one who always wear these pink Hawaiian shirts.
The Angmo?
Aren't all Brits angmo?
All British speak so atas for sure. But some look Chinese.
True, huh?
Anyway, what did he do to you, this Angmo?
What do you mean what he did to me?
You just said you couldn't sleep last night because of him.
You never hear any... Sorry. The bugger played loud music all night.
How come I didn't hear anything?
You never hear anything, what?
And you're always so sensitive. But why didn't you knock on his door and ask him to lower the volume?
You better watch it with these gay people. Sometimes they get hysterical, start screaming and all that. And who knows what comes next.
Gay as in happy? Happy like bird?
As in gay people? Such a bad example for our youth. And right in the heartland some more.
How do you know that?
Come on, Siti. You really think gays are such a good example for the young people? Like the way they earn their living, for instance.
No, how do you know that he's gay?
He's so aqua. Hello, Mr. Junsoon. Kong, this is a telltale sign.
It's like saying that all men with a earring are gay.
But my CK is not gay.
So you see, you can't jump to conclusions so fast.
And the other day in the lift, Dang Moa, he kissed his boyfriend.
In front of you?
Yes, on the 2 cheeks or more.
I know, many Angmos like that.
But they're not gay, right?
If only. I hope Fika never brings back one of those matsales.
Oh no. No risk with that guy since he's...
Gay. I understood that. I was talking in general.
I see. You don't like crossbreeding, is it? But look at this plant. It's a hybrid between a Malaysian carnation and another seed from China, and it's blooming.
Yes, Chinese and Malay. Sians together. It might work. Especially if you choose young shoots. But look at this tulip from Holland. It's dying already and I planted it only 2 weeks ago. It can't even adapt to the local weather.
Maybe if you crossbreed this Dutch tulip with your begonia from Sumatra, it will acclimatize?
I don't think it's possible. And anyway, I don't even want to try. All these Caucasian plants, they don't smell very good and they take so much space. Alamak, it's already 11 o'clock. I'll finish this watering later. I need to start cooking my beef rendang. Fika has invited a friend for lunch. Someone from her art school. A close classmate, she said.
Boyfriend?
A boy for sure, and who knows, a boyfriend to be?
Uh-oh. Maybe Fika's not single anymore. Come to think about it, it's quite funny because CK also mentioned that he's coming for lunch with a close friend.
A girlfriend?
And what else could it be?
Wouldn't it be the first time that CK introduces a girl to you? As far as I remember, I've never seen him hanging around with a girl. Except with Fika, of course.
Of course.
Maybe Fika and CK have decided to make us a surprise at the same time.
Maybe. Not sure if that's a good sign. I need to fill this up.
Yeah, finish.
Hi, I'm going to be reading an excerpt from a short story called A Single Pearl. Catherine Sui tumbled out of a dream she was sorry to wake from. A moment ago, ochre shapes had danced behind her eyelids, enveloping her in the warmth of a distant memory. Now she opened her eyes and saw only the familiar dark and white of her bedroom. The four-poster bed of Himalayan teak imprinted against the chalky plaster of the ceiling. Black trimmed shuttered cabinets lined a wall. Around her, the room clung to cooling darkness, but the glare outlining heavy drapes hinted at a sunny day. The AC hummed out a chill that belied none of the jungle air of Singapore. Outside the French doors, air that Catherine, a Canadian, found bothersome even after living here for 10 years. She was not surprised by how she had fallen asleep, in bed sideways, shivering in her silk robe. Her hand knocked over a stained wine glass on the bedside table as she reached for the Vicodin. She popped a pill in, rolled her neck back, and swallowed. Lying back down, she closed her eyes to chase the garbled traces of that dream. Blurry edge visions began to surface and expand into the vastness of somewhere glowing, mollifying, foreign yet familiar, like some fleeting impression from her 39-year existence, something her subconscious compelled her to find. She had almost eased her way back into this world when another thought, the one that had woken her up in the first place, invaded her mind. Her husband, Wolf, would be coming home that night after 4 months away for work. This thought put her on high alert, though later, Catherine could easily have blamed her dog. Her Pomeranian had been sniffing around the walk-in closet with clothes and accessories strewn like an isolated monsoon had blundered through. He stopped at a scattered cobblestone path of jewelry and began to root around the baubles, looking for something to eat. Catherine had just slid fleshy legs out of her bed when the guttural choke came. An hour later, Dr. Sam Svensson examined the ailing Pomeranian atop the hardwood dining table of Catherine's modern bungalow. In the middle of his noontime appointment, his receptionist had swept into the examination room and announced that a Bentley was here to take him away to Mrs. Sui's. Right now, he had inquired, his gloved fingers still probing a kitten's mouth. But the receptionist's alarmed expression and the burly driver peering over her head informed him that, yeah, right now was the answer. Mrs. Sui, wife of Wolf Sui, who owned the popular chain Wolf's Impressions Bar and Grill, paid a handsome retainer for the sole purpose of summoning him at any time of day. This was how he found his schedule hijacked by a middle-aged Tai-Tai and a Pomeranian with symptoms of an upset stomach. Catherine flittered around, all fretful hands and jangling bracelets. Usually so masterful at playing the charming hostess, no one could tell she drank herself to sleep. On any other perfunctory visit, she would have led the young vet into the garden for refreshments. She liked talking to him, liked forming his full name with her mouth, Dr. Samuel Svensson. The sibilance, the sifting of the common with the strange felt voluptuous to say. She often wondered if she would find his medium build with his thin shoulders attractive if she had met him elsewhere. But under her fragrant frangipanis, she soaked in his serious eyes. She smiled and hoped that he saw her as a sophisticated and worldly woman. And yes, she might be older, but she was a real woman. Despite these opportunities, he never looked at her or said anything inappropriate, and this worried her. Today, she had no time for fantasies. Sam, please, she said. What is going on with Valdi? Just a second. Dr. Svensson tapped the little dog's spine. Can it be fixed today? Mrs. Sweet, please. I just need a couple of minutes to make sure. You must understand, Sam. Today is special. Catherine saw that she had been digging her manicured nails into her forearm. It'll only take a minute, Mrs. Sweet. He pressed gently into the dog's fur. What is today? What? You said it was special? Oh, regular things, Catherine said a little breathlessly. Tea, spa, then tonight. It didn't matter that Catherine had stopped mid-sentence. Dr. Stenson's hands had reached Valdi's stomach, making the dog whimper. Right, he said. I think Valdi has swallowed something, a foreign object, probably something the size of a hazelnut. Not to worry, though. He'll likely pass it in a few hours. As he removed his latex gloves, he asked in passing, any idea what it could be? Catherine's mind whirled, working backwards. She had needed Dr. Svensson urgently because Valdi, usually so docile, had raced through the bedrooms and the bathrooms, had evaded the outstretched arms of Catherine, the maid, the gardener, and the driver. He even bit the maid, which had never happened before. But Catherine remembered, before chasing the orange cloud around the house, finding Valdi panic-stricken among the scattered jewels with his mouth open, his head jerking forward. The jewelry. No idea. She replied in such a stilted manner that Dr. Svensson took a look at her. She did not see this, with her head down in her hands. His eyes caught her wedding ring instead, large and cut like a weapon. Mrs. Swee, you're not looking very well. Dr. Svensson gripped her arm as she started to sway. Would you like to sit down? He heard her footprints retreat up the stairs. Bewildered, Dr. Svensson stood by himself for a few moments in the dining room. Then the maid came to take Valdi to his dog bed. The driver escorted Dr. Svensson to a waiting car, a taxi. Catherine did not seem off with a box of refreshments as she normally would. In her ransacked closet, Catherine picked a careful path to an overturned jewelry box covered in tiny pleated shells, a cheap knickknack a girl might buy from a sandy bazaar. She had vague flashes of fumbling about the night before. What had she been looking for? She couldn't remember. The strewn contents were of much greater value than the box itself. Necklaces, bracelets, gem-encrusted jewels in every metallic sheen. There was a Cartier bangle Wolf gave her when he took off to Monaco after opening his restaurant in London. The Van Cleef parrot brooch when he worked through her birthday. The Art Deco sapphire ring, a